Well, hello, my crafty friends. I am Sean with Manly Made Minute, and I am thrilled to be here with my first video for Pajama Crafter Stamps. I have a wonderful card planned for you today. Since we did a holiday hop this week, I'm going to carry holiday into the weekend for you today, and we're going to do a holiday card. But we're going a little rustic. We're going to bring some old world charm back into this card, and I'm super excited to do it. If you're not familiar with me, you can find myself, Manly Made Minute, on YouTube and on Instagram under Manly Made Minute. Would love to have you follow me there. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you like what I'm doing, and while you're at it, if you are not a fan of Pajama Crafter Stamps, head on over to Pajama Crafter Stamps and do the same. Give them a like, give them a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube, and we would love to have you follow along. I'm super excited to be joining the team for this last half of the year on their video team, so I'm going to be bringing you some social media posts as well as 2 videos a month, and I'm crazy excited. So let's not waste any more time. We've got a little dirty work to do on this card. We're going to get out some distress, and we're going to get a little messy, but by the time we're done, we're going to have a beautiful, vintagey, old world charm kind of card for you, and I think you're going to be happy with it. So let's head down to the down camera and show you what I have planned. All right, I have the Citrus and Scarlet Blooms stamp set. What a beautiful, beautiful stamp set. I can just imagine like a real poinsettia with the dried fruits and all that kind of stuff behind it on a basket or something, right? And that's where I'm going with this card. So we're going to kind of carry a little basket plaid kind of charm to this card. We're going to use some perfect pearls and some watercolor on this. And then we're going to get some distress and some paste and every kind of mixed media I can do on this card. So let's get dirty first, but I wanted to show you what I've done. I pre-stamped out this card, the stamp set with the gold embossing powder. And then just because it makes my watercolor easier, it makes the perfect pearls a little easier when we get to that point. And I just wanted that little gold kind of bling for this card. But we're going to come back to that. We're going to get out a little burlap. I got out a piece of mixed media, Canson XL mixed media paper, and we're going to distress these so I can get my color theme going, get this dried. We're going to come back and do the other elements of this card. So let me grab my splatter box, and I'm going to throw in my burlap first. I'm not going to pre-wet this. All I need to do is get this red. I just want red. So I'm going to not use my aged mahogany, which I'm going to use on the rest of the stuff. We're going to use a little barn door from Distress spray stain and just spray this red. And if you don't have it completely coated and you got some brown showing through, even better. A little texture in there is not going to hurt anybody. So we're going to set that aside to dry. Now I'm going to take my mixed media paper, and if I get that on the back, it don't matter to me. And I think I actually, you know what? I changed my mind because I think I might like this color. We're going to go with this, actually. Carry that, and I'm going to add a little mahogany to this. So I'm going to just wet this down. Okay. Get this moving just a little bit. There we go. Pick that up and use it. Why not? It's there, right? Use it if you got it. We're going to throw a little extra red on here just to get some movement off that. Then I've got my crushed olive spray stain. And we're just going to get a little green going in this. And now I'm just going to give myself a little spritz of mahogany over the top. Doesn't matter how good this is, we're going to be die cutting this up anyway. Okay, so don't worry of how blendy this is or anything, because you're going to die cut this up into some plaid. I just wanted to get some colors of my theme going on this and get this dried up. I'm using, for my die cut, I'm just using a generic plaid pattern die cut for this. Nothing fancy. you're going to learn, if you're not a follower of me already and you're new to me, I love texture. I love layers on my cards. I can't help myself. And I love pastes and things, so I'm going to hopefully bring a little flair to some of these stamps for you on getting out some of these things that we invest in, but we don't use them a ton. We don't have an opportunity to use them a ton. And I'm hopefully going to bring some ideas for you on using some of these products that we have sitting there on different ways, because I just love to layer my texture in there. Digging this. I might throw just a little, had it sitting on the side, lumberjack plaid distress spritz. I want a little shimmer on here. Gotta mix these up. I haven't used my shimmer spritzes for a little while, so they're a little settled. Okay, we're just gonna give this just a little shimmer. Be careful with the spritzes because they will overpower the rest of your color, the way they coat. So if you don't want to lose what you just put on there, just a light little spritz is all you need. A little dab will do ya on that spritz sometimes. If you want a full-on spritz and shimmer shine, then coat the whole thing. I'm not going to dab my extras up because I don't want to pull it. I don't want to get splotches on here, so I'm going to just let this whole thing dry. I don't want to pull color off. I'm really digging this deep red color that's kind of coming through on this, actually. Feel free to craft along. I would love to see your interpretations or creations off of my cards as well. So, you know, as I do my 2 videos a month, if you want to craft along with me, by all means, go for it. You can always do the replay to catch up and do the measurements and different things and recut, but I'd love to see you post them on our Pajama Crafters Facebook page, hashtag Pajama Crafter Stamps, and see what you've created after watching the video. My goal usually is to try to make these still doable for anybody by using just stuff that we have, right? Just let that drip so I can get that to dry. There she goes. Knowingly that I'm going to die cut this up, you hide your blemishes automatically. So don't worry about different things on here. Like if I got white showing over here, don't care. If it gets a little bit of that white because I've got the splatter on there, perfect. Texture's texture, love it. All right, I'm gonna set this aside, let these last little drips dry because we're gonna cut that last anyway. I'm gonna throw this back in here just to dry it. Be careful drying up burlap, it'll melt. This is just off of a roll of burlap from the local craft stores, all this is. So I'm just a little light. I'm not gonna heat it up because it will melt. How do I know that? I've done it. So I'll save you from melting your own burlap. How's that? Okay. Let me just wipe my hands a little bit so I don't transfer stuff over, because I tend to do that. Next thing I want to do, we're gonna get the messy out of the way. I have taken a piece of just a nice, deep, rich chocolate brown cardstock, and we're going to use an embossing folder. And I'm using a woven embossing folder from Simon Says Stamps. You heard me talk about at the beginning, this basket kind of what made me think of. So we're using kind of a basket weave. I'm getting out some Simon Hurley. This one is the Gold Rush Lunar Paste. And what I want is where this weave meets the next weave, I want those little crevices just to have a little antique gold to them. So I'm gonna go on my deboss side where these little peaks are sticking up and just do a light coating of this gold, run this through my Big Shot to emboss it, okay? It's not gonna take a whole lot of this. So I'm just using a really thin layer to coat my brayer with. And just get it coated, but not super thick coated. And I'm just doing little flicks to roll this on. I'm not dabbing this in and getting it nice and thick. It's not thick on my brayer at all. Very thin. Now on this side, I am just doing very light. I don't even want hardly any on there. I think that's probably plenty. Okay. We're going to set this in here. Collapse this on itself. Run this through my Big Shot with the proper sandwich, of course. It is a 3D embossing folder, so just make sure that you know, whatever folder you're using, you're setting it right. All right, now when I take this out, check that out. Is that not gorgeous or what? Okay, we're gonna set this aside to dry, clean up my little mess here, and set this stuff behind me. And let's just get that lifted up. Been working on some other projects today, so I have a lot of paste going on today. Which to me is fun, because sometimes I feel like I buy these mixed media things, and you buy them for certain projects, and then it's like, what else do I use that for, right? All right, now let's do some watercolor. I'm going to take my embossed Citrus and Bloom stamp set, and I'm going to do a very light, very non-technique kind of watercolor on this, because I'm going to cover it up with some shimmer. But I just need a little color on that background before I put that perfect pearls down. Okay, so I'm going to do some deep mahogany kind of colors for the poinsettia. And I'm going to go a little bit more on the bluish greens for my leaves. We're going to need a little browns for that cinnamon. A little brownish orange for that orange. And let's see what else we're going to need when we get there. All right. I'm using just a nice little medium #1 brush. It's wet but not sopping wet. And I'm just going to wet this down. I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper. I like it for many reasons. 1, price point. 2, it's got some texture on it. It is a cold pressed paper, so there's a good texture to it, and depending on what I'm doing, I do more textured side up or less textured side up. The other side's just a little smoother. I'm doing a little texture on this one today just because of my whole theme I'm doing here. All right, all we're doing is we're just getting color down. No shading, no nothing. I'm not going to need it after I get my shimmer down. So I'm just throwing down watercolor. Hopefully, if watercolor is not your thing, but you have some and you bought them because you went to a show or saw somebody use them and you're like, now what? This will give you some reason to get that out and give it a try. If you end up with some spots darker than others, that's okay. You don't need this to be completely smoothed out same. Like I could go back in here and just throw a little extra in there if I wanted to. But it'll help you just put a nice little thin wet layer down here. Don't puddle it. Don't put so much water in there that it puddles. Just enough to wet the paper just to get your watercolor to move. If it's not moving, like that side's not moving as much, like that's moving a little bit, you can just re-wet it. And I'm going to come back and re-wet that one. But easy, simple coloring for you here. I promise you, you try to replicate this card, and people are going to be so impressed. You've got enough textures going on it, or we will have enough textures going on it, that it's going to be like, how did you do that card? Oh my gosh, look at all the stuff on it. I'm going to just throw a little shading, just so I can show you. You know, this is typically after it dries a little bit, here's what I would be doing, is adding in some extra shading. Just like so. And then these ones, I'm actually going to go just a tiny bit darker on. I'm going to step over to, I think it's this one I want, so I got to check on my palette here. Don't think, yeah, that's too purple. I want the other one. So we're going to go over here. And throw the darker one down. Just to give me a little depth. Between these layers. So we're past the Christmas in July typical theme, right? But we thought we'd kind of carry you over a little bit into August and keep you going, and don't forget about your Christmas cards. Good time to get ahead, right? Get them done now before you're scrambling in December. I'm just adding like another second layer to this top just to deepen it up a little bit. Just a little more. All right, I'm kind of liking where this is going with this part of it. Digging that. I'm actually going to jump over and grab a little bit of that purpley berry, and I'm going to throw that right here in the middle from these little berries, actually. Like so. Let me grab my little rag here, so I have my little dabbing rag. Here we go. Okay, let's head on over and get these little oranges done. I'm just going straight on without adding water because they're just small enough. I just need the tone to pop through on this. This one over here. Now, if you are a seasoned watercolorist and you want to do the no-line coloring or something on this, oh my gosh, go for it. If you are not, by embossing this, you create little walls for your watercolor, and it makes it much easier, much, much easier. All right, I'm going to grab a little bit of this light brown first and color in my little sticks of cinnamon here. And I'm going to do just a little shading on those. Just getting kind of a base color down for that. Okay, then I'm going to take just a little dab of darker brown. Get that to pick up. Come on. There we go. Just a little dab of the darker brown. And I'm going to shade that off. I'm just going to keep kind of layering that in. I'm trying to grab it so it's just a little bit more solid color there off my watercolor here. Got a lot of water in there, so get a little cinnamon kind of color going on it. When we're done, we're going to fussy cut this out. Not a bad floral to fussy cut, really. Pretty easy lines going around the edge to follow. All right, I'm going to grab, I think this one's really bluish green. Yeah, so I'm going to go with my bigger leaves here with this color. And I'm just going to lay a little, I just wet my brush and totally brushed it back off just to get a tiny, tiny wet layer in here on these bigger leaves. Okay, pick up my bluish green. And just paint those in. I also like my watercolors because it's relatively forgiving, whether you believe it or not. You make a mistake, wet your brush down really good, and start wiping that watercolor off, and you can remove it and start over. Or remove what you didn't want on there and keep what you did want on there. It's very, very, very forgiving. It's just practice. That's all I'm telling you. Just a little practice for you. Go. All right, that looks like my bigger leaves. I've got two big leaves in there. I'm going to just step down in color on that and go to the other side of this, on this side. And you can see it's just a little bit more green with a little blue in there. And we're going to color in those ones. I just want to get a little bit of wet on there so I get my color to move. Up a little bit and just work that in. Isn't it fun just to kind of watch a little piece like this come to life too as you do it, little piece by piece? I think that's just so fun. There we go. Now I've got these little pieces here. I'm going to keep those green. I'm going to go a little lighter on the green. I just need to wet over one more. And pick up that. A little more of a yellow green. I'm just kind of doing the trifecta effect essentially. Varying my colors, kind of in this, you know, the greens in groups of threes here. Keep it from getting too monotone looking, right? All right, I'll get these little pieces behind, tucked up behind there. Got a couple hanging out right there. Any more peekaboos? I think that's all my peekaboos. Oh, look at that. I touched it and it's soaked right back up into my brush on me, so we'll add some more back on that. Now, if you want to get crazy, no, don't get crazy. Go back to your other color. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit of color on the tip of your brush and just tap it into your little circles there for a little extra dimension. Just give you a little something, something. You could blend it just a tiny bit, tap it out, tap it out. Grab that again and just get a little bit more back on that one. There. Back over here. I just tapped a dot, re-wet, rinsed it off, got my brush back to a little bit of a point, and now I'm just tapping that out. Just to give me a little something on those. How fun is that? Now I'm going to go back through, and I'm going to come back over with that orange again, but I'm going to go a little more red orange. Tap over just a little farther here into the red orange range. Okay. And I'm just going to go right up against that rind a little bit and give me a little color. Rinse, pull that water off, and then just tap it out just to give me a little something. Not necessary to do that, but if you want. All right, let's think of those three little flowers in there. I kind of want to keep my rustic kind of feel. And so I am thinking, I'm going to be honest, I am thinking I'm just going gold. Let's just go gold. Shimmery gold. Then I don't have to worry about coloring those with my perfect pearls, because that's what's coming up next. Let's just tap in some gold on here. Shimmers are fun because the mica in them, it settles and dries relatively quickly. Just like so. These are those little accent flowers that you get at the local craft store to accent with, right? At the holidays. I'm trying not to pick it up too wet so I get a nice dry on that with that mica. There we go. Now we're getting some in there. Once that settles back, you'll see that shimmer on there. Sometimes it's tough because as you brush, it pulls off with it. So you just gotta layer it up, get it on there. That is our little piece. Okay, next little face to this. I will usually just take a little of my little knives. I'm gonna take just a tiny, tiny little bit, doesn't take much, of my perfect pearls. Just dab in here. This is Forever Red. Okay, using my brush, not crazy wet, but wet. Enough to not get this as a paste, a little bit beyond that paste. And now, you're just gonna paint this in and wait until you see your shimmer. I do the painting beneath this because with this mica, it takes a lot more layers to get coverage. If you have some coverage already there, it blends out much, much, much nicer. Okay, now I'm gonna take that same and I'm gonna water this down a little bit more so it's a little lighter, and then add this to the back. So I went really thick, but just past paste on those top ones, because remember we did darker. Watered it down just a little bit more, so I had lighter here in the background, but still get my shimmer. This is going to be the hardest part of this card, I promise you. The most time-consuming part anyway. A love using perfect pearls. I do this so much at Christmas. Okay, that's that. Now I'm using the, this is Festival Green. Same concept. Pull some of that out. Wet, but not too wet. And I want just a little thicker version of it first. Like so. Get it to dissolve so you're just past gritty. And we're going to go back in on those dark leaves first. And paint that in. And then I just do the same. I'm going to weaken it out and then weaken it out one more time. I have another little green I might pull for my little dotted pieces. But take the time to add some watercolor first. I promise you, you're going to like the results better. Right. Now, water this down just a little bit further for those other bigger leaves. Over here. And right here. Okay. Then I have this one, which is just a green patina. I'm just going to take a little dab of that one. And look, it's not a little less than a pea size on that. Wet, but not crazy wet, so I don't dilute this too much. And I'm just going to dot over these little guys a little bit. Love it. Now I'm going to take, I don't need that yet, sunflower. I'm going to take a little bit of the Perfect Pearl. It's kind of, I call it the original. It's not tinted. It's just going to give you that shimmer. And I'm going to go over the oranges with it. A little bit over the cinnamon. And then I'm going to go just a little bit as a little accent over my leaves. Like so. It just gives it a little extra zhuzh in there. A little something, something. I'm looking. Now I want to go back to my gold. I want to just cover that gold just a little bit more. Now that it's dried back. Oh yeah, perfect. Just needed it to dry back just a little bit and get a little thicker coat on there. And we'll dry this. Remember when you're drying stuff that's embossed, especially if you're using your heat tool and not letting it air dry completely, it'll heat up your embossing powder. So before you touch it, make sure it's cool. Otherwise, you'll smush down your embossing powder. All right, that's a little Perfect Pearl fun for you. I don't think I'm going to use those pieces. I think this is enough. I wasn't sure, so I stamped out those pieces. I'm not going to use them. So I'm going to dry this just a little bit before I start touching it. And then we'll fussy cut this out. And we'll die cut our pieces and honestly layer this card up and do a sentiment. And we will be good to go. Looking up at my camera right now, oh my gosh. I love this tone of this completely. So, so pretty. All right. not too tough to fussy cut out. I am going to get close to my line. I'm not going to fussy cut all the in-between stuff though. We're just going to stay on the outside. I'm not going to try to get all these individual leaves. It gets too tough when you have your embossing powder and you're trying to get in there, and it actually will pull your embossing powder off, and it's just too tough sometimes, so especially if it's too intricate. But I am tucking up as good as I can to that embossing powder, so I don't kind of leave a big white die cut looking line around it. Some of these I did go out of the line just a little bit, but that was okay. I didn't sop it back up because I knew I was going to be fussy cutting this out anyway. So I will have in the description below for you is the all the supplies that I'm using for Pajama Crafter stamps. Just know I am on the design team now, so those are collab links. So if you do click on them, I do get a little kickback on it, which is just extremely greatly appreciated if you do use it. Thank you in advance, much appreciated. I just honestly just love bringing you guys ideas and content to brainstorm off of and hopefully inspire. I mean, I'm just honestly, I always just tell people that ask me, I'm just having fun. And absolutely just love doing all of this. I actually just love doing the videos just to do videos. So the editing and everything I absolutely love. So every little piece of it. So I appreciate it. Also, don't forget to head over to Pajama Crafter Stamps Facebook page, YouTube, and Instagram. Give them a like and follow, as well as me, and give me a thumbs up on this video. Would greatly appreciate it. Helps our algorithm for Pajama Crafter Stamps and myself. Gets us out there. I know Joy has put a ton of effort into this year getting out on social media, and she's doing a fantastic job and all the right things to get everything out where it needs to be. She's really rocking it out. I love this. Is such a beautiful, beautiful stamp. And even without the perfect pearls in there, incredibly easy to color. If I would have just added a little bit more shading on this, I mean, it would have been so easy. Just easy, easy, easy. All right. I have got our little piece fussy cut out. It absolutely looks gorgeous. All right, let's go back. I'm going to grab my mixed media piece. Remember from the beginning, I'm using just a generic plaid background, and I am going to go on the thicker piece, and we're going to die cut that out. So let me just grab my sandwich here, and I'll run that through my big shot and layer this piece up, and I'll show you what we're going to do with the other piece, and then we'll do a sentiment and layer this all up. Alright, I'm going to run this through my die cut right back here. This actually might end up with a little country Christmas theme maybe by the time we're done. Alright. So this is this piece. Maybe you don't want to do this and you have plaid paper. I know there's a couple plaids coming out. I think we've got a Christmas plaid coming out. Time of this video, I think it'll be out on the web. It was just featured at the show this past weekend. And I think it'll be out on the website. You could just switch this up and do plaid in this section that you'll see me put this. Doesn't matter. whichever you prefer. Always with these, there's always these little things to punch out, right? And sometimes with all this mixed media stuff, it doesn't. I should have put a shim. Would have helped me a little bit, but they're cut. They're cut. Okay, let's throw this aside. Now, I have that, but I'm going to actually cut this out of. I'm going to change that. I used the mixed media for that, but I'm going to change, and I'm going to use a piece of the marshmallow. And let me check the size so I can cut this back to size here. So it's half and half. So I did 5 by 3 3/4 on that piece. Then I am just going to cut this to size and then cut it in half. So we're going to cut this to size. And I wonder where I did this. My big shears might be a little easier. Here we go. Just cut that to size. Okay. Actually, because I'm gonna diagonal that, I know what I'll do. I'll put a little strip of gold to cover my seam. So let's just glue this down. I don't know why when I'm doing this card, when I said Country Christmas, it made me think of some Dolly Parton Christmas songs. Well, I don't know if it's just because of the color and the theme. I know, I'm crazy. Don't know why. Hopefully this is inspiring you guys. Get out some of those products, right? I love it. If I buy it, I want to use it. So I love trying to think of ways to use up my stuff in every possible way I can. Okay, so I'll glue this down first. Like so. I may have to trim a little bit more off that, but that's okay. And then just be careful, because if you get glue on this and it gets wet, it is distress. It will reactivate it, so just be careful. I got a little couple spots, but I know I'm going to cover it up anyway. Right, we got to get this piece back out. Guess what? We're going to cut that to size, cut that in half. Okay, so that piece is going to be 5 by 3 3/4. So 5 by 3 3/4. Okay, now let me just bring this over for you. I got it 5 by 3 3/4, and now I'm just going to cut it diagonal, and I need to use, I want to go on this corner, so I'm going to go from this corner to this corner, like so. I'm going to line up my corners right to my bladed slot there, and then rather than running my blade right into that corner and trying to cut, I lift back up and I put my blade in the middle. Whoop, get that back on there. In the middle, down, then cut, so it doesn't shred. Probably know this. I just like to call it out, especially if we've got any new card makers in the house. I think it's always fun to give the tips when we can, right? I mean, just help each other out and help each other make out great cards. Okay, now we're going to glue this piece down. It's coming together, my friends. It's coming together. All right. We're going to throw that right in the corner. Like so. Perfect. Now, I want to get out my scrap of my gold. I don't know if I'm going to have a long enough piece. Let's see. I'm not going to have a long enough piece, so we're going to cut a strip. I'm using this shimmer gold that I have in my stash. That's because it's going to be part of our background that I've pre-cut. I'm just going to cut a strip here. Like so. And let's just cover that seam. Ooh. Told you I get messy. Hopefully you weren't expecting to watch a pristine, clean crafter, because that is not me. By the time I'm done, I've got everything on the floor and everything off this off-camera view all over my desk, but that's fun to me. Does not faze me one bit. I feel like if I don't have a mess, I haven't had fun and haven't made a good card. So that's just me. I know some people put things away as they craft, and that works for them. Okay. Wipe that off really quick. All right, now here's that same shimmer cardstock. Okay, I got a nice dark cranberry that I'm layering with that piece. Okay, so let's get these two pieces together first. And I'm going to put my big old weight on it to flatten that. Just going to trim this edge just a little bit, peek in there. Cut it at an angle so I can get that cut underneath there. There we go. Okay. Rich color, isn't that? Okay, then be careful on this shimmer. This is smooth shimmer paper. It's not glitter that flakes off, so it gets slippery. And you got to make sure this dries really good before you start moving things around. I'm going to put a weight on it to keep it flat, but I always have to be careful when I put that weight on it so it doesn't slide it. Okay. And then just set that down gently, like so. All right, now I'm going to take a piece of that cranberry. And let's see, I thought I had a scrap sitting here. Okay, found my little piece of my cranberry that I had here. And I'm just going to emboss this in gold to match my rest of my stuff here. I want the Merry Christmas coming from this side of the card. Just going to grab this now. Okay. And we're just going to add this over here. And Merry Christmas coming this way off of the card. That looks good and straight to me. All right. And now, let's just add some embossing to that. So we'll just add a little powder. Hold that down. And I think one and done. I had juiced that back up. Looks like a good impression. Be careful not to squish that down too much so it doesn't get your letters deformed on you. And just dump that back. All right, let me just heat this up. Cut a little strip off of this. Perfect. All right. And then I'm just going to take my cloth and just brush that powder off. And we're going to pop this up on some dimensionals. So we have a nice focal point here right in the center for us. Easy card, right? Easy card. Easy, easy. All right, now I want to take one last thing, and I'm just going to add a couple little, I have a glitter extra fine tip quick drying water-based blending gold brush here. Make sure it's primed. I am primed, and I'm just going to add some accents down my stripes. Told you I like texture. You will learn that really quick by watching my videos. Do you have to add all this stuff? Absolutely not. Make it yours. That's the point. We want to see you take these creations from our videos and make them yours. Brings us lots of joy when we see that. Okay, 2 more things, and we will get out your piece of burlap. I'm just going to cut a smaller piece off of this. Then I'm just going to take and slightly pull this apart. Just move that web apart a little bit, like so. Trim. That's going to go there. I have some twine with a little gold threaded through it. So I'm going to take a little bit of this. Texture, told you texture. Okay. And I'm just going to loosely wrap this around my hand. And that's plenty. I didn't want too much of that. All right, I'm going to just put a dab of glue down right in the middle to hold this down. And then same thing here, just a dab of glue to kind of hold that center of this in there. So, and now, lay this over top. Don't have burlap, don't need it. If you have twine and just do twine, go for it. You may not even want the twine, maybe the plaid's just plenty. All right, gonna glue this so that I can get it glued down pretty good through that burlap and stuff. And then just figure out your placement. And I think because my Christmas is going over here, I'll keep my leaves going up that direction. Like so. Pull some of that out. Put my brick on there just to get that set. And let me cut my Merry Christmas. I'm going to tuck this to the edge pretty tight. So I'm going to just cut this down right up next to it. And I don't want, this can come off just a little bit too. And I don't need a big overhang for the flag. I pre-looked that out. That's why I'm saying that. When I was setting everything else down, I was looking at that. as far as where I was going to put that. Okay. And then last thing for that is a little dimensional on this piece. Just like so. Maybe I think I'm gonna turn it. I had every intention of going here, but I ran out of room. And I think the way I have this down now, this angle, I like this actually better, and it works for me in the end here with that. No, I swear, I was gonna go, I don't do cards this way a lot. That's why I'm like, I'll go this way, and I'm changing my mind at the very end. And I think that actually looks better anyway. And I'm going to trim off just a little bit off of that. Actually, can't. All right, my friends. Oh my goodness. Check out this card. I think this has such a great rustic, old world charm to it. Let me come in just so you can kind of see. Look at the shimmer off that perfect pearls. Look at all this texture kind of happening on this card. I love this card. I'm going to show you face up because this will show much better face up when this adjusts on off of my face and onto that card. Check it out. There you have it, my friends. My first card, Citrus and Blooms by Pajama Crafter Stamps. Link will be down below for you. If you're interested in the stamp set, get it now. Christmas is going to start selling, and we've got the hop that we had this week, and I know we've got more to come. I know we've got a great Christmas release with some cool stuff coming up. Great plaid paper. I think it might be on the website by now, but it's fantastic. So hopefully this inspires you. Give me the thumbs up on the video, and I will see you on my next video at the end of the month. And until next time, I'll see you then.